Okay, good afternoon. Welcome to Mining Investment North America Conference here in Toronto, Canada. So now we have one of our speakers here with us. So I'll let him introduce himself, who he is, and which organization he is from.
Thank you very much. My name is Dmitry Suschov. I invest in mining projects, primarily in the exploration stage. So I take the exploration risk and then take the projects to feasibility study and ultimately to production. So in terms of my background, one of the first deals I made in the mining space was in industrial minerals. I sold top quality silica sand mine and silicon carbide production, which was second largest globally after Saint-Gobain, after the French conglomerate. I sold it to Carborundum Universal, the company which is publicly listed in India, part of Murugappa Group. And then I was in different mining projects, in particular recently in the PCI coal, where I built a relatively large producer, started production in 2011, and then gradually developed quite a substantial global market share, selling across Europe, Asia, and even up to Brazil. And now I'm entirely focused on PGM and base metals projects. So I put the first project to production in 2016, which started as a joint venture with Anglo American, the largest platinum producer globally. And we started a joint venture in 1999. Then I bought out the Anglo share in 2014, and 2016 put this project to production. And now I'm taking the production second project, which is has Sinosteel state-owned enterprise from China as a partner.
Okay, so maybe you can share with us some insights about, given your experience in understanding of the Russian mining industry. So I think a lot of our attendees here also benefited from your insights on the region. So maybe you can share a bit about what you think is the outlook for the mining industry, particularly in Russia and the Central Asia region.
Right. So in terms of Russia, right, you started from it. Russia is a little bit of a now country overlooked by the global mining community due to a number of factors, including the sanctions. And at the same time, if you switch off the TV and look at the facts, you'll see that the Canadian companies, and we're in Mine Investment North America Conference in Toronto in Canada, the Canadian companies like Barrick, which is the number one global producer of gold from Canada, is very successful in Russia. They made a major discovery in PGM segment, mine very close to mine, just 140 kilometers away from my mine. And Kinross, which is another big mining company from Canada, is extremely successful in Russia. In fact, Kinross is making all their money out of Russia, and they are not so successful anywhere else. They are actually making losses, and they're covering those losses with the huge profits they generate out of Russia. So if you look at Canadian companies, they're extremely successful in Russia. And in this sense, Russia is really overlooked by the mining community. And the fact is that the cost of mining is very low. That's why Kinross is making a lot of money. And this is due to very low cost. And this is driven by a number of factors, like Russian ruble devaluated by 2 times over the last several years, when the ruble went from 30 rubles per dollar to 60. And that's just half the mining cost in terms of US dollar terms. And plus, you have very low electricity cost, you have low diesel cost, you have low labor cost. So all in all, Russia is definitely on the very bottom of the global cost curve, whatever commodity you are looking at.
Okay. So another area of your expertise will be in blockchain technology. So perhaps you can also share with us what you think is the benefit of blockchain technology, and how does that help to support and impact the mining industry?
Right. So blockchain is definitely a very important technology across different industries. And that's for sure the future of the internet. Internet is developing in cycles, and we are in a new decentralization cycle. So the internet will be more decentralized, and this is definitely benefiting everybody. And as far as the application of blockchain technology in mining is concerned, we have a number of applications. So one that is quite a major one is related to traceability. So we had a very good presentation on Cobalt today regarding the traceability of the origin of where the cobalt is coming from. It's like you are tracing your own DNA, right?
Yep,
So you know where it's coming from, and that's very important for the consumers because the companies like Tesla's and others that are really concerned about where the raw material is coming from, whether it was legally and ethically mined. So that's where the blockchain comes into play. So you can trace down to the particular mine. Also, what I think is very important is that blockchain allows you to have the investment instruments that are metal-backed, which is very important because you have a number of derivatives nowadays, like ETFs for gold, etc., that allow you to invest in the particular metals without actually having to physically store them. At the same time, those instruments are not metal-backed, like ETFs are pure paper products. So you are wondering where your metal is. It might not exist. So basically what a blockchain allows is to issue tokens that are 100% metal-backed. And that's what we are doing in the PGM space now, in platinum in particular, because there are not so many instruments to invest into platinum bars, for example. And when a private investor wants to buy a platinum bar, he needs to pay much higher price over London. And then if a producer like me is selling the product, I'm selling at a discount in London. So there's a big margin staying with intermediaries. So we're addressing this margin, plus we are reducing transaction cost and storage cost. So investor just buys a token and doesn't need to store the physical product. And there's a number of banks, in particular in Japan, in South Korea, and even in Switzerland, like Swissquote, that are both trading metals and they're also trading the crypto instruments. So you just open a bank account with Swissquote, and you buy metal or you buy a token, which you can physically redeem for metal at any time. So basically that allows you to not to be exposed to the wallet risk, to the exchange risk. So you are shifting this risk to the bank. And at the same time, it allows you not to necessarily buy physical metal and have to store it and incur storage costs and incur transaction costs. You can just keep the token and you can redeem it for metal at any time, the same bank you bought the token from. So that's how it works, and that allows private investors to buy metal in very small quantities. Plus, it allows crypto hedge funds to diversify their portfolio, because there's a bunch of hedge funds that are now focused on crypto investments, and their portfolios are highly correlated. So all the instruments are highly correlated with Bitcoin. So Bitcoin goes up, the whole portfolio goes up. Bitcoin goes down, the whole portfolio goes down. So those portfolios are really not diversified. They're highly correlated. And hedge funds, by their definition, needs to hedge. So the token that is metal-backed allows to diversify, because it's not correlated with other crypto, and that creates a hedge for this kind of hedge funds, and they're very interested in this kind of instrument.
Okay. So lastly, as a speaker here at this Mining Investment North America conference here in Toronto, so perhaps you can share about viewers how your experience has been like here at this event.
It's a very good event, and I see that Russia, and they represent mostly Russian mining projects. Russia is well perceived here in the Canadian community. Firstly, because as I mentioned, Canadian companies are extremely successful in Russia. Secondly, I see that now that America has shifted its pressure from Russia and actually is exposing its pressure on trade with the countries like Canada in particular, I see that Russia is not so much considered as an enemy, but rather as an ally. I think that this is good, and I see that people are very, very welcoming here, and there've been a lot of good speakers at this conference, and I think that we definitely need to expand this event going forward.
All right. Thank you very much, Dmitry. And it's always a pleasure having you here with us. So we look forward to also growing this event further here in Toronto and working with speakers like yourself to help expand this conference here in Toronto as well. So thank you very much, Dmitry.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.